Oh, yeah, he's the international man of mystery, maybe the self-proclaimed greatest promoter in boxing today. Get fired up. It's Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing. And Eddie, this summer's blockbuster fight calendar has you and your promotion written all over it, littered all over it, different networks, different co-promotions. Maybe you are executing, like you say, confidently as the best in the game right now.
Well, I'm always going to say so, but I think it's a great time for boxing. I think relationships have changed a little bit with promotional companies and networks. Everybody seems to be working together for the greater good of the sport. We are consistently promoting around the world, and it's country to country to country to country every week. And our business was pretty big, and that was before Riyadh season and before Ring Magazine events. So bundle those in, and now bundle the ability to work with other promoters and networks, and it's a fully fledged schedule that with no breaks. And
No
boxing's in a
breaks.
brilliant place. No
I don't
breaks, all
I
gas,
don't
no
know
breaks.
how do you keep a boyish figure on this schedule traveling so much here, Eddie? I don't understand
Yeah, I
it,
did.
but
I was in the
that's
gym. Yeah, it's been a tough couple of weeks, but listen, I'm blessed because I love the sport, and I just can't believe what's happened to the sport at the moment. And there seems to be a good buy-in from all involved and fighters as well to keep trying to make great fights.
it's as ambitious and chaotic a time as I can ever recall in the business, and you're at the center of it. I mean, just we look at July 11th, Madison Square Garden, Netflix, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, part 3. You're a big part of that with Katie Taylor. The next night, you've got Shakur Stevenson in a can't miss double main event doubleheader for Ring Magazine 3 in the tennis stadium in Queens, New York. At least it's in the same city, Eddie, but great to see the success that you're having. I mean, first and foremost, right there on this incredible female rivalry in this renaissance period of women's boxing. I'm happy we're getting it, even though Katie, is up 2-0. The only thing I wanted, though, Eddie, was 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds here. Come on, for the sake of,
Yeah.
of taking women's boxing to that next level.
There's a couple of things on that. Number one is I've actually watched a few 12 3-minute round fights recently in women's boxing. Amanda Serrano was in one. Um, Much more boring, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Like, don't get me wrong, and they weren't elite. Sorry, they weren't quite Taylor Serrano, but they were still world championship fights. When Serrano boxed 3-minute rounds, it wasn't as fun to watch. I've always felt that as a product, 10-2s really suited the growth of women's boxing because it's all action. It's great to watch. They throw so many punches. Things just change a little bit. Now, I'm also a believer that you should keep evolving. So I don't think we should rule it out. But the biggest problem of that is when the WBC comes back and says, just to let you know, we are not allowing 3-minute rounds. And if you fight 3-minute rounds, our belt will not be on the line.
Come
If
on.
the belt's not on the line, it can't be undisputed. And Katie Taylor's whole thing is, I'm undisputed. I have every belt. So it kind of wasn't up for consideration. I feel like Team Serrano doubled down on that publicly a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I think their style might suit 3-minute rounds, but Katie's happy to do it. But it would take all the governing bodies to say, yes, we don't mind, but I promise you, the fights will be more entertaining as 10-2s. They throw so many punches. I mean, you got those first two fights, incredible fights. And number 3 will be just as thrilling.
I mean, these two who have already been so successful on their own without each other, now coming together at this point in their career. Credit to Jake and Nikisa of Most Valuable Promotions for what they're doing in the women's end, and you've always been a huge advocate, but this is going to put these two, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, on the Mount Rushmore, arguably the
Oh,
two
yeah. I
greatest
mean,
female boxers we've ever seen, regardless of the result of this fight.
yeah, they're both legends of the sport. I mean, I'm biased because Katie Taylor is one of my favorite fighters of all time. And for me, she's the best to ever do it, amateur and pro. Um, but they need each other. And, Jake and Nikisa, done a great job. And we thank them for the offer that they made because I never anticipated Katie Taylor would make this kind of money, and I'm so pleased and proud that she's getting the opportunity. I mean, don't get me wrong. When we did Taylor Serrano 1, she made a lot of money. Taylor Serrano 2, she made even more money. And now 3 comes around, she's doubling it. And it's like, she's going to leave the sport financially in a wonderful position, and she really deserves it. And she's not really about the money at all. I don't think she spends a great deal of money at all. She's very consistent and subtle with her lifestyle. She just loves boxing. But those two all-time greats that every time they meet will just give us a classic. And they need each other. And I'm glad that they found each other, and we're ready to go 3-0 on
I'm
July
glad.
the
Well,
11th. And
I'm glad you found the big arena at MSG once again. They did great in the rematch inside of a stadium, of course, to record viewership. Don't hate the Netflix connection as well. So that's July 11th. The next night, of course, you'll be back in Ring Magazine Part 3, teaming up with other promoters, teaming up with Turki Alalshikh, but also teaming back up with Shakur Stevenson. I mean, Eddie, you did a hell of a job at the press conference in New York yesterday promoting Shakur, focusing on his greatness. And I agree with you. I think he will end up as pound for pound king and one of the greats of this era. But if recent reports are any concern, you were going to be out of the picture and Lou DiBella was in.
Yeah.
What happened here? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you want to believe Twitter, then you're probably grossly naive. But very simply, we had a two-fight deal with Shakur Stevenson, and that never changed. Like, the communication between us never suggested anything different. Um, After the Zepeda fight, the contract's up, the deal's up, and I'd like to think we extend. I mean, I've got a great relationship with Shakur, even though he beat me at table tennis last night in New York. But I want to promote him for the rest of his career. But a lot of the time, it really depends on the deal that you have for the fighter. Loyalty's really nice and respected in the sport. But as I learned with Canelo Alvarez, and rightfully so, we did 7 or 8 fights with Canelo. All of a sudden, we didn't have anything for him anymore. Now, as much as he likes us, he's off. And that'll be the same with Shakur. So now we're talking about potentially extending that relationship, but it will all be built on what we can offer. But if he goes elsewhere after Zepeda, good luck to him. I'll still be a massive fan and an admirer. But I believe that, as we've done already in the very short period of time we've been working together, he's had some big fights, made big money, and his profile has continued to rise. And I think this is the perfect fight to really show how great he is. Zepeda's a tremendous fighter. I just feel like the style is really well suited for him to entertain and show his class.
Yeah, I hope he gets a chance at a breakout moment. I've always been of the belief that you can call him boring all you want, but the more he steps up in class, the more people are coming after him. You're going to see that greatness come out, and you did a great job setting the stage at that promotion. I do have a question, though, Eddie, because this is such a weird time in the boxing business, and I think you've navigated very well your relationship with Riyadh Season and Turki Alalshikh, but also being honest about your spot. Is there a cutoff date for the active promoters now when the relationship with Turki ends, and I guess in theory, him working with the UFC and TKO and Dana White begins?
I don't know, really. I don't think so. I mean, I think that our business exists very successfully and powerfully without Turki Alalshikh, regardless what happens. But we love working with him because, one, financially, it's been very good for us. But two, it's been incredible opportunities for the sport and our fighters. There seems to be many different, elements of his involvement. Number one is TKO and the league. Number two is Ring Magazine events. And number three is Riyadh season events. So I think whilst you've got the stable and the talent that he needs, I think everybody's going to continue working with Riyadh season and Ring Magazine events. I mean, are we going to be involved in the league? I doubt it. I mean, I don't think that's the concept they have in mind. But I'm also aware of the fighters that the league are recruiting. And I think it's going to be very different to people's immediate perception of how this is going to look.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think this is going to be the big names, Dana paying, kind of significant overrated purses to get these guys, because then there's going to be a war between UFC talent and boxers. Because I said this the other day, in boxing, which is quite bizarre, the revenue around UFC events is more than the revenue around boxing events. Yet the fighters are paid 3 or 4 times more than the UFC guy. And at some point, those UFC talent's going to look at it and go, hold on, Dana, you're now paying these fighters 3, 4, 5 million for some defense of their world title. And we're getting 500,000 to have a war in a sold out arena with massive pay-per-view numbers. So it's going to be really interesting. I don't expect our relationship with Turki Alalshikh to change at all, really. But if it does, it does. But it's really down to your ability and also the talent that you represent. That's the key. When he wants great fights and big names and you've got them, whether he likes you or not, he's going to get a deal done. But we've got a great relationship and I enjoy working with him. And he's been a brilliant asset to the sport.
With that said, though, Eddie, what the heck's going on with Rick Versace Reno's outfits right now?
Oh, I mean, every now and again, a fighter believes their own hype. But Rick Reno, he's gone to another level. I think that Turkey's like really funny, right?
Okay.
And I sometimes call him like the king of fuckery. Yeah. Like he loves all this beef and like everything like that. And I think like with Rick Reno, he's probably like just sent him in there going, right, I want you to go and disrupt everything, right? Slag off promoters, do this. And he's called him Versace for a long time because I think when they had their first meeting, he had a Versace top on. And just now Turkey's kind of taken over as Rick's personal stylist. Do you know what I mean? Sends him out, gets him all these ridiculous clothes to wear. He's got the trilby on, sunglasses. I actually quite like it. I mean, I love Rick. I think he's such a funny guy and a character. But why not? Like, it's just another character in this crazy play.
He's like
I
a pro
guess.
wrestling manager or something. It's
Yeah,
wild, but shout out
absolutely.
to Rick just the same. Speaking of Rick, the Ring Magazine cards, you were a big part of that first one, the kickoff, the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn one that, Eddie, I think it's the fight of the year. I think it's in contention for fight of the decade. People say, no, it was too sloppy. No, it was some of the best storytelling we've seen in
Yeah.
professional sports in a while. You know from that atmosphere what it was like, but I'm ignorant to the British history. I still can't believe George Groves is like a hero over there for those fights with Carl Froch. Will you bank Ben one, for the Suns here and maybe the continuation if they fight again? Has this already found itself in British lore pretty high up in
Yeah.
terms of the memory of it already, just a few weeks
Yeah, I,
removed?
I think that, like you said, the storytelling, the narrative around that history and the rivalry between the fathers, obviously that existed and everyone knew it. Sometimes, like people, some of the negativity in Britain was around like, oh, it's a bit of a circus, this fight. You got 147-pounder, 160. Are they even world class? Whatever. And then the fight happens, and the fight is the product, right? So the promotion can be great. The build up can be great, but at the end of the day, we are reliant upon the product that exists in the ring. And that's when we talk about May 2nd, it didn't really work. The promotion, the build up,
Sure.
the narrative, Times Square was amazing. Sometimes it's just a bit of luck. The matchmaking's got to be good, but you never really know what to expect. Eubank Ben, the build up, the promotion, the narrative, everything was perfect. And then you got, like you said, a fight of the decade kind of event. And again, like, were they elite world class fighters? Maybe not. Were they world class? Yeah, they're top 15 guys in their respective divisions. Does it matter? I mean, we just saw blood, guts, like just heart, chin. But it was enthralling. And the whole thing with the dads, the dad turns up on the night, gets out the Rolls Royce. They both ring walk with each. It couldn't have had anything more. People are still talking about it now, nearly 1 month on, and they'll still talk about it a year on and beyond. It was a real iconic moment for British boxing.
It's damn. I mean, I'm moved. I'm inspired by it. But there's half of the people, including Turkey himself, who want that rematch next.
Yeah.
There's the other half that say, no, Conor Benn cut back down to 147. This revived your name, your career, your future. You could be a title player there tomorrow. As the promoter, what do you want to do?
I mean, look, we signed up for the two fights. It wasn't a conditional rematch. And that's one of
Okay.
the reasons we took the fight, because even though I feel like Conor's got very little respect about him moving to 160 from 47, all the talk is about, oh, how tight Eubank is at 160. Conor had to go up and fight a much bigger guy. So down at 147, we really like his chances, and everyone's calling him out. Shakur yesterday, uh, Devin, Ryan, Tio, like everybody. And obviously the money for the rematch is significant. And Conor thinks that he can actually adapt He was going into that fight with 14 months out of the ring. He's going to be a lot better, sharper, and he thinks he can win a rematch. So I do think that will happen in September, but definitely in 2026, you'll see him come back down to 47 and fight those big names and hopefully get a shot at a world title.
Love it. Love it. I could also ask you about what you want to do with Boots Ennis and will it be Teofimo? And I know you've been talking about that, and I want it big. But if I got one more question for you, Eddie, I do want to focus on. I mean, we are enthralled by the talent of one young Bam Rodriguez and everything he's accomplishing at such a quick pace. We're going to see him back in Texas July 19th, unification fight against. Am I saying it right? Kafu?
Kafu, yeah. I think it's the toughest fight in the division. Kafu is a tremendous fighter, very, very awkward. We've got some unbelievable talent. I mean, Shakur, you mentioned there, Richardson Hitchens coming up fighting George Kambosos, Jaron Ennis, which you're right, the Teofimo Lopez fight is a good chance that could happen, and Bam Rodriguez. I mean, these are pound for pound guys. Bam, for me, is just an exceptional talent. We want to try and get him unified and undisputed as quickly as possible. Maybe the toughest fight out there for him, this, alongside Puma Martinez, but July 19th at the Star at Frisco, Diego Pacheco against Macumbi on that card as well as a co-main event. Really good. But Bam's nicely morphing into a superstar of the sport now, and he really deserves it.
Well, I want him to be a superstar. I want people to talk about him like they used to get fired up about Chocolatito in the small weight classes. Does he have to go through Inoue to get that?
I mean, maybe for true greatness, and it's always difficult because I feel like those elite guys, the only way they get beat is to move too high through the weight classes.
Sure.
Kind of talk with Lomachenko as well. I mean, Lomachenko was a featherweight, really. Moved to super feather, and even at lightweight, he was up against a lot of bigger guys, and that might happen to Inoue as well. You've seen him consistently getting hurt now at 122, and if he moves to feather, maybe just the size is not enough. So I'd hate to see Bam get beat just because he's moving up too many weight divisions, but a move to bantamweight is inevitable and fast approaching. So then we're only one division away. So we'll see what happens.
That's a big one. Eddie, I know you're a busy man. Thank you for your time. Matchroom Sport on fire all over the networks, all over the schedule, working with everybody. Hey, maybe get a waistcoat back in the mix to compete with Reno there. But Ed, thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks, Brian.